Hey everyone, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I am continuing to share some December daily pages, so I hope you are continuing to enjoy them. I'm going to share 19, 20, 21, and then 23. So I'm starting off with 19, and it was kind of a meh day, kind of a bah humbug day. So I thought of this design and I really wanted to try it and just see if it would turn out, and I really love how it came out. I'm going to use the Let Go story stamp and also this paper for my title that says Bah Humbug. And my idea was to stamp Let Go repeatedly all down the page, and interspersed, I think I'm saying it right, is going to be my journaling about the day. So I'm going to start up at the top and go ahead and stamp Let Go, like I said, all the way across. And then I thought about doing a second line of Let Go, but decided that I really liked the kind of typewriter font. So I'm going to use that as a second line of stamping. And it says things simply feel like a lot, so I'm going to let some things go. And that is so true in this season of life. It's a very busy season of life, as I've told you, and I'm sure it is for most of us. So I just wanted to document an afternoon that did not go the way that I wanted, and it was just too much. Not necessarily bad, but it was just a lot going on. I am going to continue this Let Go pattern all the way to the bottom, and I'm really happy that I stuck with green monochromatic. I think that that is so fun to just do sometimes when you're making pages, whether it's for December daily or for just scrapbooking. But I truly love this. And like I said, in between the stamping, I put a line of journaling. One line of journaling. I actually wish I would have put 2 or 3. I think I did a rotating pattern of 1 line, then 2 lines, and then so on and so forth. But I wish I would have done 2 for each of the sections of journaling. Because if you've been around and watched my videos, you know that I always journal a set amount of lines and then I have to go back and add more. And sometimes even a third round of adding lines. I always tend to say more than I think I'm going to say. So I should have just gone with more. Once I get to the middle section where I want the Bah Humbug, I placed it down and realized I did want some stamping behind the Bah Humbug. So I went ahead and kept going with my stamping, and I will pop dot or put some foam down to lift up the Bah Humbug just a little bit. I also have to figure out what kind of number I'm going to go ahead and use. I thought I was going to use a large white piece up in the top corner, but it was going to get lost in all that stamping. So I'm going to go with some gold puffy stickers that I will get out in just a minute. I also had some puffy stickers out that are in the bottom left of the screen, and I really loved the one that said stink, stank, stunk. I think that's from the Grinch. I did not find a spot for that, so maybe next year, but I was hoping to use that. And I suppose I could have added it to the project, but I didn't want it to take away from the project. I just had to cut some foam. I ran out of foam adhesive, so I've just been using these sheets of foam I get from Michael's. They used to come with adhesive on them, at least on one side, and now I can't find them anywhere, and it's so frustrating because it's easier and more convenient to have the adhesive already on there, but I guess it's less bad for the environment, I guess you could say. But anyways, it's a pain to add all that foam. Once I get to the bottom of the stamping, I can go ahead and start to add my journaling and just talk about how the afternoon did not necessarily, like I said, go the way that I wanted. It was just, there was a lot going on, and somehow I scheduled an eye appointment the same day my kids needed their dentist appointments, and so my mother-in-law took care of that for me, but it was just too much. Like there was certain things like my mother-in-law obviously couldn't do because she's not mom, and for me it was the first time that I'd never I had never been to my kid's appointment, so I didn't fully understand like what was going on, what's like the next steps, because one of my kids needs to have a follow-up appointment. So it was just like, for my anxiety, it was just like, I should have been there so I fully understand what's going on. And then I was just overwhelmed from the new eye doctor place that I tried out. They just would not tell me like the prices of things, and I don't know, they just didn't have great customer service, I guess. And so I came home with all this information from the dentist and the contact glasses place, and I just was worn out. The house was a mess. I didn't want to exercise, and so it was just a rough afternoon, and I don't even think I wound up cooking because I was just like, I'm done. I am done with this day. This day has been too much. It is too much. It has been so much, and it just left me kind of in a grumpy mood, but I am very, very thankful that my mother-in-law was able to help out, at least, getting the kids to the dentist and taking care of that. That was really helpful because I am long overdue for new glasses and contacts, so it was important that I go. Not that you guys wanted to know all of that personal information, but that is what I wrote on my journaling about the rough day. It's not always pretty and pleasant in December, and I knew it was going to be rough with this December, just a little bit, being back to work. And I know I keep saying it, but a different season of life. It's just automatically going to be different. I made sure to adhere the bah humbug to the back of 18, and then I could move on to 20. 20 was completely lifted from an idea from Pam Baldwin on Allie Edwards' blog. I will try to link that for you, but she had these wreaths and then 3 photos in the different slots for the wreath, and I thought I was going to have photos, but I did not. So this story is actually very hilarious. My daughter gets to go to the school store to buy a few gifts for her family members, and she bought one for the cats, and the cats kept stealing their toy. They actually stole it 2 times, and then the 3rd time they finally ripped it to shreds, and I came home from lunch and I found it. And that is actually the only photo I got, or photo evidence of them trying to get into their Christmas present. I thought I had taken photos of the first 2 times I had found, them trying to mess with it, but I didn't. I only got the one. So that photo is going to go right in the middle underneath the wreaths, and I did a rough estimate measuring when I was printing the photo, and then just did my best to kind of hide it underneath the wreath, and I'll add some white paper behind the top and bottom wreaths so that way I can stamp on it, because it's my preferred type of paper to stamp. The back of this, or the background, is cardstock, and I don't like to stamp on that. And I also added lines, and then there's a spot up at the top for a star. Now, again, I had a lot more journaling than I thought, so I couldn't change it at the end, but I'm just saying, if I could go back and change things, I would have lifted up the location of where the star was. That's all. But because I just had so much to say, the story was just hilarious because it went on for days, and ever since my daughter got the gift, it went on for a week. The cats would try to get into it and then give up because we'd put it back under the tree, and then they'd try again, but 3rd time was the charm, and they were able to do it. I'm using this super old Allie Edwards typewriter font to go ahead and stamp the different spots that I found the ornament in. So the first one is Mom and Dad's room, and then in the second I put in the water bowl. And of course I'll explain those more when I get to the journaling. And then 3rd is them completely ripping it to shreds and getting into it while I was at work. And I came home from lunch and I found it. So it was totally worth it stamping all those different letters. So Like I said, the cats were very excited, obviously, about their toy, and I was getting a hair tie, I think, off of my nightstand, and I walk, and all of a sudden, I almost trip over a laundry basket, right? Because the laundry never gets done, and I notice at my feet, it's the cat ornament, the cat treat that they want to get into. And I'm like, what is this doing here? I asked my daughter, did you do that? She said no. So then a couple days later, I'm making dinner and I look down. I think I dropped something as I was leaving the kitchen, dropped something, and then I looked and there was the toy, the gift, in their water bowl. Like they were trying to drown it, or it was prey, or who knows what, but they really wanted it. So it was in their water bowl. I pulled it out and I think I set it on the counter, and then like 2 days later they ripped it to shreds and finally got into it. So after the third time, they were successful in getting into their Christmas present much earlier than they should have. So the little stinkers, but I love them dearly. I also wrote on that third picture, I wrote third, so that way the order of events was clear. So that way first is up at the top, second's at the bottom, and third is in the middle, and of course trim off any extra. I had previously added a transparency star, so I'm just going to stick with that and use a 20 for up at the top. And instead of stapling it, because I think I'm going to staple it in just a minute, but I wanted to make sure that it's going to stick down. So I used the double-sided adhesive tape, and then I'll put it down along with a staple. And I just wanted a little more red below the stars, so I grabbed a word phrase sticker that says, "Let me explain," which is, perfect for this type of spread. So then I need to put it back into the album, and I don't have to adhere it to anything yet because 21 is going to be adhered to it. So love how this came together. It looks fantastic, and it's such a special story. So I believe one of the papers was this 1 through 5 loving, and everybody was using it. I'm like, well, I have to find a way to use it. I want to be like everyone else and figure out a way to use this paper. I finally figured out a way to use it by documenting the last few days of school before break. I made a large photo of my daughter and I because she made her own ugly sweater. You can see she used some stickers to spell out ugly sweater and also some Pokemon cards. And then for me, it was pajama day. So I wore some fun, festive pajamas. I then took one of the 10 by 8 papers that's green and has like the gold sparkles on it or flowers on it, and I cut out 21, and that'll be my opening for all the journaling. I also measured the spot where I could put a photo, and I printed out 5 photos to go along with the different stories. Now, I could have used my glue pen for these stars, but I figured the best option is double-sided adhesive tape, but the adhesive tape is very wide compared to the stars. So there was a lot of folding and finagling and trying to get it to work. But I really wanted to use these big, bold stars since I had a big photo, I have a big number, and that way they'll all kind of balance each other out. And I'll also have a little cluster on the photo over on the bottom left. So I grab a star in green and red, and then of course the neutral color. And I'll also have a transparency that matches the numbers. So it's one of those tag transparencies that I think was an add-on. At first, I thought I might put it up in the top corner, but I felt like it would touch my daughter's head too much. And also where that cluster ends up makes a really nice visual point going up to the large star on the 21. So it all worked out to have it in the bottom corner. So I'll have that transparency, one of the neutral stars, and then celebrate the season. So, because it was an action-packed last day of school and also just the last few days of school, but mainly this day. almost got that corner all done, and then I can start on my journaling. And I just got a new pen, and I will try to remember to link it in the description box, but it writes so well on these Ali Edwards papers. I have a Uniball Signio, I think that's how you say it. That's what I usually use, but it tends to like scratch and not write so well on these journaling cards and papers, but I use the new pen and it just writes very smooth and it's awesome. I love it. So I'm trimming the photos that are going to go on the far right of this insert, kind of the folded portion. And so I was, like I said, able to get 5 photos from the last day of school, and it was just awesome. I love it. I love how this came together. I'm so glad that I kind of waited and thought about how I can use this particular paper. And I'm just glad that I took photos throughout the last week of school, and that way I could tell some stories, because sometimes when I'm at work it's a little bit trickier to get photos, but I actually remembered to get photos of like the bingo game and also an owl project that we did. So I trimmed them just a little bit because the height was a little too high, so I just trimmed it, and now I can adhere them down. And like I said, it's going to be on the folded portion, and then I can start my writing. And I know a lot of people did stamping for here, but I figured, you know what, I could do stamping, but for me that would take too long. I'd rather take the time to go ahead and write out my stories, because to me that's more important. And like I've been saying, it's a matter of picking and choosing where you want to put your time when you're making your projects. So the first story was about my son and how he is our morning DJ, and he plays all kinds of awesome music. And he was the one that got the really great photos of my daughter and I in our festive outfits. And then we headed to school, and it was going to be a great day because it was the last day of vacation. You can see here I'm kind of thinking about how I want to phrase things, and because sometimes I want to say things and I want to make sure that I don't sound repetitive. And I just have to remind myself, Sabrina, this is not a college essay, just say it. And it's okay if it's not quote unquote professional. So the second box is about being at school, and during the holiday party, I was in charge of the bingo game. The second graders loved this bingo game and did not stop playing for the entire 2 hours that we had this holiday party. It was just the best. And they could choose between a candy cane or a Hershey's Kiss, and they could always come back and get multiples. So they loved it. The third story is about how the teacher was having the kids study owls, and we did a lot of different owl projects, including looking at owl pellets, which was really fun. The kids absolutely loved that. There was also some books that the teacher that I work with read that I really liked, one of them was called The Night Tree, and so it was just really fun to spend the month of December learning about owls. And then the fourth one was about being showered with gifts from the parents. I was not expecting that. I really, truly wasn't. So I was very, very thankful for those gifts. And I took a photo of them in my car because I was showing my husband. I was just like, I told my husband, I sent him a text. I'm like, you won't believe this. So I had that photo, and it helped me tell the story too. So for number 5, I have my kids when I went to go pick them up. My son is now a freshman, but before he was at my daughter's school. And so he got to get out of high school early because it's finals. And he walked over to his old school and got to hang out with some friends. And he had the best time, and my daughter did as well, watching a movie. So I'm going to put the adhesive on the back of this, but then the holes aren't going to line up. This is why sometimes I have to remember that I can't always just punch the holes right away, because especially if it's a back type of page. So I had to pull number 20 out, realign it, punch some holes, and then put it back in. So for me, it always works to just If it's a back, like I said, a back facing page, wait to do the holes and then, punch the holes afterwards. So once I got that all finagled and repunched, I was able to add it into the album. And now I can move on to the last page that I'm going to share with you, which is 23. 23 is very simple. I didn't do 22 in this video because it's going to be a longer one since it's my best friend's visit, but this one is a fairly simple one. I think in this video I did forget to add the numbers, and I will have to go back and do that later on. So we got packages all month long, and I didn't think I had taken any photos, but I wound up having a photo, and so I decided to use this. Mind you, most of the packages get stacked up in my room, or my husband in my room, and taking a picture in there wouldn't be pretty. So I'm so glad that I got this prettier picture, and I went low to the ground and got a snapshot. So I just love it, and a nod to being a 90s kid. I did You've Got Mail and die cut that title using a digital stamp set, and also used a Allie Edwards freebie from a long time ago for an envelope, and I printed it out on like craft paper, and I prepped it ahead of time because I had no idea if this is going to work. I'm not fancy, and I felt like this was fancy, so I didn't know if it was going to even work. It wound up working. It mapped out really awesome in Photoshop Elements, and I shrunk down the envelope to fit because I wanted to add in 2 more photos. And I think I even forgot to do the journaling for this page, so I could always go back and add it in, but I wanted to have a place to store some other photos of different packages that I got throughout the month of December, not just holiday packages, but also scrapbooking packages, of course, right? Those are always important. So I used my double-sided adhesive tape to adhere down the envelope and also close up the various edges that I needed to close up. I also made sure to include a slit. You saw me just do that a few seconds ago with an X-Acto knife, and I just sliced it a little bit above where the flap is so the flap can close, and I just tuck it into that slit. And I added a little sticker so that way it wasn't so obvious, and I'm so glad that worked out. I think I had to do 2 slits before I got the exact position for the flap to go into, but I was super proud of myself that it worked and everything went relatively smoothly, because sometimes when I do these interactive things, there's a whole lot of things that can go wrong, and sometimes do, but I love how this came together. I then put down my title and I cut it twice so that way it was a little more dimensional. I think I lost a few of the letters though because I waited to put this together, but for the most part you can tell it says You've Got Mail. I also want to add some sort of embellishment over to the far right, and I'm going to try to figure out what embellishment that could be. Probably just a little bit more green for my page, and I have these giant puffy stickers that I've never used, so I think that is what I eventually grab. And then I decided to add some stamping to the envelope, and I'm really glad that I did because it just adds a little bit more visual interest to the envelope. After that, this little project will be wrapped up. I just punched the holes, put it in the album, and I'll do just a little flip through of all the pages that I did in this video, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!